barn tip. Everything has gotten so goddamn expensive and winter is supposed to be here, even though it's raining right now. It's gonna probably show up any day. I'm gonna build an insulated, passive solar heated stock tank for the horses to try to save on our ridiculous energy bills. I'm hoping to make this as close to a zero-cost build as possible. I have a bunch of scrap lumber and board insulation and a stock tank already, so I will be walking you along as we go through it. So I still need to skin it in tin and paint the side of the stock tank. Beyond that, the insulated solar heated stock tank box is pretty much done, and I'll walk you through it quick. So all of this is sitting on a pallet, then there's 2-inch foam board on the floor, 3 of the walls, and the lid. Then on the south-facing wall, we've got dual-layer clear polycarbonate. During the daytime, the sunlight will shine through the clear polycarbonate onto the side of the stock tank, which will be painted black and heated up. And the dual layers kind of work as a double-paned window, so that way the cold air that's touching the outside is not touching the warmer air on the inside, help holding in heat at night when the sun goes down. Well, the issue with insulated stock tanks is it doesn't really matter how insulated the walls are, because if you remember from physics, heat rises. And so you can hold in that heat a little bit by putting on a lid and hold it in a little bit better by insulating it, but the problem is that the animals still need to be able to drink out of the stock tank, so there still needs to be a sizable hole in that lid. So this hole basically makes this lid useless, because all that cold air rushes in and sits on top of that water, and all that hot air rushes out through here. Now, when the stock tank's all the way full, there's not a whole lot of surface area in between the lid and the top of the water for all of that heat exchange to happen and all that hot air to get out and that cold air to get in. But as the surface level of that water drops, it gives a lot more volume for that hot air in here to rise up to the top and escape, and that cold air to rush in. So this is how I mitigate that problem. Cut out the bottom of this bucket and stuck it in the lid. Now as the water level drops, all the warm air that rises up underneath the lid can't just rush out the hole. It's stuck inside of here because we've got a wall going down. Now the only water that'll be exposed to cold air is the water inside this bucket, and that's a lot less surface area than the entire stock tank. And even if the water level drops below the bottom of the bucket, the fact that it's got walls holding it down and the hot air rises, it's going to take a lot longer for that air to cycle back out, and it's going to keep it thawed a lot longer. Out of this entire thing, this piece of plastic will probably do the most to retain heat inside this stock tank. I also wrapped poly sheeting around the floor and walls to try to help keep the wind out, because it's not perfectly sealed. And it's not perfectly sealed because I built the whole thing out of scrap I had laying around. The only thing I bought was the polycarbonate, so it cost me like $26 to build. So it's far from perfect because I have almost no carpentry skills and I built it out of junk, but if you were to buy the materials and had a little bit more skill or patience than I do, you could probably seal it up and do without the poly, though poly's cheap and it doesn't hurt anything. But I think it'll do just fine, and I don't think it's going to take this thing long to save $26 in electricity costs. I'm going to get the tin on and get it out there for the horses, and we'll see how it does. Well, this winter has gotten away from me, and I haven't been able to get the tin on this, so it's still unfinished, but it has worked about as good as one could hope. I had no heat to it through a really cold snap. There was never more than a couple inches of ice on top of the tank. It was easy to break through with a bar. The horses could lick through and get a hole to get their snout through. The only annoying thing was it would freeze my little bucket in here, so I'd have to break all that away to get the lid up to put water in, and I'll probably end up putting a little door on the hydrant side so I don't have to lift the whole lid up to get water in it. Otherwise, this is a great option where you don't have power or just to save on energy. I did end up putting my stock tank heater in there just so I don't have to come out here and keep breaking ice open, but it does work absolutely great. If you have animals in a cold climate, it is definitely worth giving it a shot.